So what's the worst mistake that I've ever made in my online business? I'm going to tell you what it is right now on this episode of the Unlock Success Podcast.
This is the Unlock Success Podcast. We're helping entrepreneurs around the world dive deep into the keys you need to shatter excuses, believe in yourself, and help you achieve your highest goals. Here's your host, 8-figure entrepreneur and the living legend of internet marketing, Anthony Morrison.
Hey, what's up? Anthony Morrison here, and welcome to another episode of the Unlock Success Podcast, where my goal is to help you unlock more success in your life, in your business, and in pretty much everything that you do, right? We do this by helping you think a little differently, react a little differently, act a little differently, and hopefully make decisions a little differently, maybe than you already have or already do. So welcome to the podcast, and I hope that you're here and excited about the topic. One of the worst mistakes that I've ever made in my online business, right? Now, if you currently run an online business, then you know that it's very easy to make mistakes, right? They pile up quite quickly as we kind of grow our business and our brand on the internet. But there are certain mistakes that I've made that I would say qualify as some of the worst mistakes, the things that they're hard to come back from, right? I've somehow luckily been able to survive all of these and still thrive and grow. But I feel like sharing some of these experiences here on the podcast is smart because a lot of you are digital marketers, you are people who are looking to start an online business, and ultimately, knowing the mistakes that others have made helps you avoid those same mistakes, right? And that helps you to unlock new levels of success in your business and in your growth as an entrepreneur. So we'll just kind of dive right in. I would say that the number one mistake, and this is kind of an interesting thing, but the number one mistake that I feel like I've made in my online business is trying to do too many things at one time, right? I'm somebody that I always feel like there's no limit to how much I can accomplish. So I currently have a residential home building business, a self-storage business where we own a lot of different self-storage facilities, a retail development division where we're building out strip centers. I am opening 3 local businesses in our area. Plus, I run my education side of my business. Plus, we started up Webinar Fuel, which is a software as a service business. And when you start adding all of that up and you can accomplish all of that, something happens every day in every one of those businesses, right? And that doesn't even include the businesses I'm, partners in, DestinFlorida.com and all kinds of things. So I always feel like there's no limit to what I can accomplish, but I think that when you're specifically looking at your online business, right? If you fill your day with so many tasks, you never do any of them perfectly, right? You never do any of them great. Everything's just always done, but it's not done great. And the difference in done and done great online is, there's just a mega difference, and I'll explain to you how. So we've built our own CRM, right? So you might use Samcart, Infusionsoft, something like that. We built our own. And one of the things that I never put a lot of attention into is our order forms. And I didn't put a lot of attention to our order forms because ultimately I could just get it done. Like if I just had an order form that could take the orders, at least it would get done. And I had 500,000 other things I needed to do. So as long as I could just take an order, I was happy, right? I've had the CRM for like 7 years. Okay, we've processed thousands of orders through it. And just recently, I finally sat down and I said, look, I'm going to take the time to get this thing dialed in where we can do custom order forms, bump sales and things like that. If you're in an online business, you know what this is. The results are pretty much astonishing. The very first attempt at a new order form yielded 60% of the people taking a bump sale that you could not do in our CRM because I didn't take the time to build it because I was just getting it done. I wasn't getting it done great, right? That average ticket increase was about $12. So on average, people coming through and purchasing from us are spending an average of $12 more per purchase, right? Than they were a week ago before we did this, and for the last 7 years. When you equate that $12 to the fact that we run, I would say close to at least 3,000, I would say, I know, more like 6,000 transactions a month. So 6,000 times 12, right? Roughly in the neighborhood of, look, I'm thinking to myself, like, 6,000 times anything is a lot of money, right? Because if it's times $1, it's $6,000. But obviously, if you just round it down and say, look, our CRM is gonna, with this new increase, is gonna pick up $10, you're making, another $60,000 a month, right? Times 12 months, $700-ish thousand a year, times 7 years, $5 million, right? That we've not picked up because we just did something good, but we didn't do it great. And this is the biggest mistake I see that almost everyone with an online business does. There's this point at which you can launch the business, right, without having everything done perfectly. And I'm not against that either, by the way. So if we're talking about that, like, I think getting it done and getting it out there is smart, because every month that you're not in the marketplace, you're not picking up market share, right? Every month that somebody else is out teaching the subject you're teaching or selling the product you're selling, and people are buying it from them and not from you, you're losing potential customers, which means you're losing lifetime value, right? So you're losing a lot of money. But if you roll something out and you know that it's not perfect, the thing that what's important, the lesson I learned, the biggest mistake that I made was I kept rolling out new things instead of roll something out and then perfect it and then roll something else out and perfect that. What I did was roll it out good enough, roll it out good enough, roll it out until I had all these things that are just operating at just good enough, when an extra 4 days of time making just the order form great could have produced another $4 or $5 million for our business over the last 7 years. Pretty big mistake, right? And I think the lesson here is that while we're never going to be perfect, and we can't wait for perfection in order to release products and services and things like that online, we have to always be striving for perfection, and we can't get ourselves so bogged down with tasks that we don't have the time to still continue to strive for perfection in every part of your business, right? And I think this is a very valuable lesson. I mean, look, it's cost me millions of dollars. It's not the first time I've done this. When I was in my early 20s, I released these websites to promote credit cards. I wanted to promote, and I was an affiliate for credit card companies. And there was this box in the middle of this, and I remember seeing this as clear as day, like it was yesterday. There was this box that said join newsletter right in the middle of these website scripts that I bought for $300. I didn't know what that meant, and I didn't care, because I just wanted my sites live. I just wanted to be live in business, making money. So I rolled the sites out. Once the sites got live, I started making money, and I was making good money. It was $200,000-$300,000 a month. And I never went back to try to figure out what was that newsletter thing. I never went back to that, because I started adding new tasks. I want to add this. I want to add that. I want the website to do this. I want it to do that. I never went back to the root, back to the start to fix that thing. Fast forward a few years later, I found that I literally had hundreds of thousands of people that had subscribed to my email list, right, for information on credit, like credit cards and loans and all these, some of the most valuable subscribers on the planet. And I'd never done anything with them because I didn't know how it worked, because I didn't take the time to do it great. I just did it good, just good enough to get it done. That cost me millions of dollars. I don't even know that you can quantify how many millions of dollars I lost by not knowing that I was building an email list, right? Until 7-8 years later when I could no longer mail it, right? So the lesson here today is go slow enough to be able to do things great. Go fast enough just to get into the marketplace. Just good enough is okay when you release something. But then you've got to strive for it to be great if you want to maximize the amount of money that you can truly make in your business. Biggest mistake I've made in my business, not striving for greatness in every single thing that we do. Don't make that same mistake, and you'll make a lot more money and unlock the potential success that you probably never would have realized had you just settled for good enough. Hopefully this message helps you out today, and I look forward to having you join me again next week on another episode of the Unlock Success Podcast.